Hi, Enoch. Hello. Good evening. You okay?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Uh,
Yes.
could you give David like 5 minutes or something? Or could you let him know that you're on the call?
All right, okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hi there,
Hello, sir. Evening, sir.
Goodness, sir. How are you? Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I won't be able to shout much today. Like, I won't be able to raise my voice. So, how have you been, though? How have you been? Are you sure you can hear me? Are you sure you can hear me?
Hello, sir.
How you know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That was the internet, yeah?
Mm.
Let me see if I can connect to my system quickly before we start.
I've tried switching from Airtel to MTN and it doesn't seem like it's any better.
Can you hear me though? Yeah? Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Alright, I think that's what really matters. You can hear me. I just need to be able to get your feedback when I say, can you hear me? So I know that I'm not alone on the call, yeah? Yeah, so I'm in with both my system. So yeah, can you hear me clearly now? I'm Theophilus.
Is that cool?
You can? I want to be sure you can hear me.
Hello, sir.
Yes, can you hear me? I can hear you,
It's
Enoch. I
cracking.
can hear you
Oh,
clearly.
okay, it's cracking for
I
me.
can hear you clearly.
Okay, sir.
On my end, I can hear you clearly, actually.
Okay.
So, for today's topic, we're dealing with information architecture and wireframing. So, were you able to go through some of the courses that I shared with you? Yeah.
Hello, sir. I didn't get the last thing you said, sir.
So, were you able to go through some of the videos I shared with you?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. So, in that case, I'm hoping that you have a little bit more knowledge as regards the interface, right? As we go along. So basically, what we're going to be talking about today is information architecture, right? One of the first things that you notice is when we talked about research, yeah, our focus is mostly on the user. You remember
Okay. Yes, sir.
finding out what the user really wants, what their actual problem is, and then where we stop was when we're supposed to analyze the feedback from the user to see if we can gain some extra insights, right? That validates our hypothesis and our guesses and our biases as regards what really works, right? So at this point, when you get all of that together and then you start to show excuse me, and you start to show your feedback loop, more or less. When you start to show your feedback loop, uh, what would you say would be your first approach, right? Would you just go into designing? Yeah. Okay, so I now know that the users need to have 1, 2, 3 features, um, and I probably have an idea what those features look like on the already existing apps. Does that mean I just immediately jump into designing, right? Or do I take time to look at, what I consider the strength of the previous or the existing design is, and the weaknesses, and try to solve it on my own product, right? So I'll be quite interested in having a sketch, right? A rough,
Okay,
to
so
see if I can capture all the ideas that I have concerning that project, right? And part of that sketch should give me a high level overview of where I'm going to start from, right? From, let's say, dashboard or homepage down to contacts or FAQ. So that once I see all of this rough sketch or information architecture um, framework, I already have an idea what the project will look like from end to end, even though I have not designed it yet. So, information and wireframing are the tools you use to, sketch a project solution visually, right? After the research has been done. And in order to create effective digital structures and user interfaces, you have to be sure, right, that what you're building actually works before you go fully into, the exploration of colors and type and all that stuff, right? It wouldn't make any sense if you go and start using color and type when you're not sure if the page you are designing will link to the next page and the other page, right? So you have to be careful, you know, to create an end-to-end, workflow, right? How each information that you want to pass across on your digital website will look, right, or would feel on the functional end of your design process. So that's what information architecture really is, right? So creating digital structures for user interfaces. I would share my screen now so that we can walk through this sequentially, and then we'll get to the practicals at the end of the class. Is that fine with you?
excuse me.
Yeah, so for today's topic, can you see my screen?
Okay, no, not yet.
You can see my screen, yeah?
No, not yet, sir.
Oh, I
It's
see.
just your picture. I can see now.
Let me turn off my video then see if that works. Maybe I should log off from my phone and rely on my system
Okay, sir.
majorly. see. Okay. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can.
So I'll log out on one, and hopefully this other one will carry us too. So let's send out on that one. You can still hear me, you know?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. So how about the slides? Can you see the screen?
Still not yet. Okay, yes, I can.
Hardware.
Yes, I can see it now. Oh my Jesus.
Should see it now, yeah?
Okay, it has disappeared.
Anyway, so we just start here, and I don't know why this sharing a screen is looking so strange. So no one's annotate, please take it away. Okay. So you can see my presentation screen, right? You know, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Hello, Enoch.
Hello, sir.
Okay, I just need to be
Yes, sir.
sure you're on this call so that if you leave for adventure, I can tell when you left. Right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so can you see my screen now, please?
Still not yet. Still not yet. I don't know why.
I thought you saw it briefly.
Yes, I did, and then it went off.
Okay, so how about now?
Not yet. Not yet, please. Okay. Yes, I can. Excuse me, sorry.
All right, so basically, I'm just going to introduce you to how we map out digital structures for user interfaces, right? So, an information architecture usually informs, you of how your product functions on a rough sketch, ideally so that you can have a high level detail of how many pages you're probably going to have on your product and how each of those pages connect and how each of the features of your product connect with each other, how they're supposed to work, right?
Yes, sir.
So basically, information architecture is quite a serious business in UX, so much that they have they refer to it as the foundation for organizing and structuring content in a digital product. Ideally, when you hear information architecture, it sounds very, very technical. Basically, what it is how does your page intend to work. Before you start, putting windows, right, and doors and all of that, how should it work? Let's see it in a rough form, so that if it doesn't work, we can make structural adjustments, right? Just like in architecture, you need to see the plan, right? It's not when you're done building, you now ask for the plan and say, let's see if this plan is correct or if we build. No, you have to actually are better off building according to plan, right? So the information architecture is literally your sketch or your plan for whatever it is you're building. It's not the 3D rendering of 3D Max or Revit. No, it's that that flat paper sketch. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
that
Yes,
you
sir.
have of your plan, maybe your front view or elevation or your side elevation, that basic structural framework that you're going to be using to create every other valuable optimization, right? Or
Yes, sir.
upgrade. Yeah, so it helps you just find what they need easily and quickly, right? So what information architecture stands for is usually clarity, usability, and scalability. When you're working with information architecture, your focus will be on clarity, usability, and then if peradventure you want to add more features, right, to this product, where would we possibly add those features? Even before we start building high-end
Yes, sir.
prototype, you can easily tell, right? So we usually ask ourselves, why not just go straight into the design, right? For someone like
Yes, sir.
me who is a big designer, I've fallen prey of just jumping into the design without the information architecture. I suffered though, serious suffering, right? Because I didn't understand how important. Why do I have to go through it? I already have an idea in my head, right? But you see, that idea in your head is not as good as the idea on paper. That's the honest truth,
Yes, sir.
right? So why information architecture matters is mostly because a good IA enhances user experience and reduces cognitive load, right? What that means is it enhances the fact that you are building a functional experience for users. You're not thinking too much while you're building because you already know what you're building, right? You're not going to be erasing a lot, undoing a lot because what you're building is already clear. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Right? So it enhances the user experience. It also reduces cognitive load, like the amount of thoughts you have to go through in order to guarantee that you're building the correct stuff. It's reduced because you're literally looking at the plan. Sure, you literally can see that this is where this should be. And so you're not building off your brain's calculation of whether it's right or wrong. You have already decided what is right, and what is wrong for your information architecture, right? It also helps improve navigation, right, and also help users accomplish that. So imagine building, a product where you have already established where you user starts from, what the next step is, and what the other step is, down to the last steps that they would need in order to accomplish a specific task or function, right?
Yes, sir.
That you are building according to specification. You are building according, to clearly identified, tasks. So you are sure that whatever it is you are building according to the information architecture would lead you to the end of your process. Right. So, for example, you might not know how many screens you will need, right? But from looking at the steps of what you are going to need to design, you can tell that I will need a minimum of so number of screens, right? A function might require me to have 2 or more screens, but I know that that function will take in one screen. Do you get what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So if I have 10 functions, I know I have a minimum of 10 scripts to create for this particular function. At the end of the day, that function, I mean, those 10 functions might take more than 10 scripts because a function might require, you to have an error page, it might require you to have a confirmation page, it might require you to have maybe uh, a a form to fill before you complete, right? Might even have a a what they call this thing, a payment page involved, and payments might require a few more pages, right, to capture your data, your card details, and to confirm you know your credibility before payments. And so that payment function itself, that it will take minimum of one page. So ideally, it helps you accomplish your task faster and improve navigation. What it also does is it affects your bounce rates and task completion and overall satisfaction. What a bounce rate means is how often do people fail to complete a certain set action, right? There are some aspects where you get to the landing page and you click on anything, it doesn't take you anywhere, right?
Mm.
The
Yeah,
bounce
sure.
rate is going to be very high because from that landing page, everybody leaves the website. Nobody accomplishes any task, right?
Yes.
For some other
Yes,
people,
sir.
is at the payment they start to experience difficulty because they start to wonder, okay, which plan am I paying for? Where is the product I'm paying for? Why is it so expensive? You probably want to be sure that it's what you picked you're paying for. If it's not clear, right, there's a very high chance that you know, you will feel stumped. Or sometimes some people will just, you know, click on, expect you to click on uh, a, a, a feature on their page or their website, and it takes you to uh, a wrong page, and they expect you to start searching for the right page you're supposed to be on, when ideally every indicator or every navigation should take you to, you know, wherever it is that they labeled for it to take you to. So if, for example, I'm clicking on the contact page and it's taking me to the About Us page, I'm probably going to leave from the contact page because whoever puts, that navigation probably is not a serious, person. So the bounce rate for some of those little errors will be very high. And so, but because you have already created an information architecture, you have reduced the chances that a page is going to be linking to a wrong page because you can literally see the arrow pointing in what direction each of the pages should connect with. Right. So we're going to do a practical example of some of these things so you see how user flows and tasks flows should look like. Right. And because the idea of information architecture is for you to see how each task and each function is going to be completed before you even start designing, right? What that does is it improves the overall satisfaction for you as a designer, right? As a UX researcher,
Yes,
you know that yes, I'm not just building randomly. I'm building some very, simplified and verified at the end of the day. So, for key components of the information architecture, there are basically just four of them that I am highlighting here, right? The organization system, that's the organization hierarchy, right?
Hello, sir.
What can you hear me?
Yes,
Can
I
you
can
hear
hear
me?
you. Yes, I can hear you, but the
Okay.
slide has been awful. Slide has been off.
Okay. I
Yes.
labeled the slide pages. So this the last page you saw was slide 3, right?
The last page I saw was slide 1.
Really?
Yes.
I'm on slide 4 and I was hoping that you were with me. Okay,
Like
so
I
I'll use your
raised
phone.
my hand. I even sent a message. I didn't want to interrupt,
You
what you're
should
saying.
interrupt me because it's because of you I'm here.
Okay.
Oh, I'm just seeing your message. Okay, you know what? Let me know when you can see the slide again because I'll have to go back to the page and hope that you can load it on your end. It's not. This is not Figma where I can say let's share logins. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Right? If I can see it from my end on both mobile and web. So I need to be sure that your network is also transmitting what I'm sharing. If you notice, my slides are mostly black and white, like very minimalist, right?
Okay, I can see slide 4.
Yes. So that's how far I've gone. Did you see this slide
Mhm.
3?
Yes, I can see slide 3.
Yeah, so that's the last part I explained where I said it affects bounce rates. That is the number of people that drop off from the website before completing the tasks, certain tasks. Right? It affects task completion and then overall satisfaction. Right? So for the key component of information architecture, we're trying to establish first of all an organization system. Please, the moment you can't see the slide, just let me know, okay?
Okay.
All right. So you're setting up an organization system or hierarchy, and what that really means is what pages do you see first before the others? What pages do you land on? What pages contain the um, links to other pages? If you get what I mean. So ideally, the home page is usually where you start from, right? For some
Yes,
other
sir.
products, where you start from is the onboarding. Do you get what
Ah,
I'm saying?
yes, sir.
The onboarding pretty much is where you're gonna start filling your information, because maybe they need to collect your quick data before you have access. There are some products like that you cannot have access to until they at least have your name and your email by design. Do you get what I'm saying? So that they
Yes,
can
sir.
reach out to you much later. They tend to want to quickly collect your basic information. There are some products that when you want to open a profile, they will collect all your details before you smell the app. Like literally, they will collect your address, and what that results in most times is bounce rate. People don't even finish the onboarding. How much more, get access to the app because they are frustrated with the amount of information you're collecting. Do
Yes,
you get
sir.
what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So a lot of apps just collect your name and your email address and maybe your phone number, and then they give you, access. And so you need to be clear on the organization system, right? So you can start with onboarding or with homepage. Then from homepage, you can start drawing how your user navigates from the homepage, to every other page, and how important each of those pages are will be seen based on which ones are available or visible on entry. Right. You also help define navigation system. That is your menu, your breadcrumbs, right? It also helps you label your systems appropriately before you even start designing, right? You can label what your homepage looks like. You can label what um your footer looks like. I mean, it helps you take care of your naming conventions, right? Your
Okay.
labeling systems. It also helps you, create your search systems, right? Your filters and your site searches. That's what would your search system look like? You can easily define it with just wires and sketches, right? So you're not going to be guessing. And if you notice, um, the image on the right, yeah, you can see,
Yes, sir.
yeah, it gives you a brief overview, right, of what each of these system represents. So organization system, you can see how, for example, let me see if I can interact with this. For example, this is an organization system. This is how everything would layer on top of each other, right? For navigation systems, you might realize that there is a major menu and then there are sub menus, right? That appear right under it. Yeah. And then there are probably going to be labeling systems, right? For a labeling system, it might just be, footer, cards. So this might be navigation menu. This might be body section or cards. This might be footer, right? You just literally can name all of those things at the information architecture level. But the search systems, you might just name a search box, right? And then you might name a search bar content that you might already be able to define what your content will look like when the search bar is clicked. And these are like simple interactions. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next page. Can you see page 5? Content organization and
Yes.
user flow.
Yes, sir.
You can see it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we're going to start with user flow, right?
Yes, sir.
So there are two different types of flows that you have to be familiar with: the user flow and the task flow, right?
Yes, sir.
The content structure for user flow, right, is such that you need to know how the user interact with your interface, right? Where do they start from, right? And where do they end their journey? So, for example, if you want to start a, let's say, a payment app, right? For a user flow, you can say the user starts on the dashboard menu and clicks this button here, which is make payments or pay a bill. And then maybe on that pay a bill, you have airtime, right? You have data, right? Or internet. And maybe you have electricity bill, right? You can have all sorts, right? So maybe for your airtime, you can have MTN here, MTN, and then maybe for here you can have Glow, right, as your major vendors, right? Maybe for your airtime you can just have, what's the popular MTN? Internet provider, maybe SpectraNet, right? So you have SpectraNet here, and you can have other ones. I mean, it just depends on how many options you have. And you can go to electricity and, Eco Electric, you can have your different vendors. You can have Ikeja Electric, IKDC, right? You can have Kaduna Electric, right? I mean, it could be anything you have, and by just doing this, you can tell that the user will have to get to point A before getting to point B, point A, B, C, before getting to B. And that way you can literally monitor. You raise your hand. Is that
Okay,
now or was it previously?
that was previously.
Okay, sorry. So how do you come about these user flows? You usually use your card sorting, right? Some of the user interviews you did, what are the options that you realize that your users are interested in? And you try to create flows using those feedbacks, right? So you would have group related information, right? That you can put in a particular section. For example, this is a group related information. Let me quickly show you. This is a group related information, right? This guy here probably is a group related information. This is probably another group related information, right? So you're separating ideas based on, you know, the relativity or the relationship between the options, right? Can you see this?
Yes, I can see.
Yeah, so let me clear that. So with user flow, you just reduce the pressure to go too deep or too far into the design before you know what you're designing, right? So next we have, for user navigation, right? So I'm going to show you, a little bit of what user flow looks like, what task flow looks like, and what really differentiates both of them, right? So for that, if I stop sharing the screen now, I'm not sure it's easier for you to connect to. Right. Let's finish this material. Yeah. Then I'll switch to Figma and show you some of these things with live projects. Okay. So you designing for user navigation, right? You have to focus on designing, intuitive pathways for users to complete goals. Don't forget, everything you are building is for your user. And part of why you conducted all of that research is so that you can be sure of what goals your users have. And then you now use this navigation system, that's information architecture, to ensure that each of those goals can be completed, right? The idea is for you to reach the goals of your users with design. And so you have to find a way to capture each feature and what it's going to take to complete the goals. Capture each task, capture each, each task or each flow that you have identified in your information architecture. Yeah. And see to it that it has a start and an end. And it also has what you call your criteria for success, right? Your success criteria. So in order for this particular goal that I set to design for to be achieved, what do I need to see? It means A must link to B, and B must link to C, and C must end at D. And at the end of the day, user is able to complete the process of A to E. with minimal distraction, right? Or with no hindrance whatsoever, right? So you're going to be designing the user pathways in order for them to complete each of the goals you have highlighted for each of those pages, right? A page might have different goals. You need to highlight each of those goals and complete them, right? Using your navigation. So, for example, what you can see on the right here
It's the okay. Yes, I can see it now.
you can see it now. When I make markings
Yes,
on the
I can.
screen, can you see the markings?
Yes,
Okay,
I
so I
did
just
for the
want to show
previous
you before I
ones.
Okay, cool. So let's say, for example, you want to design pathways, right? Um, for users to complete your goals. You know that, for example, most of your links are the pathways for users to complete their goals. Your user should be able to access, let's say, for example, your navigation, link, right, as a function. The navigation link should contain, one, two, three, or four identified, you know, um, options that by matter of standard has to be visible, right? Then your patterns, right? You need to use patterns as your top nav, sidebar, and tab interfaces. This is the top nav, for example. This is a sidebar, right? This is your sidebar. This is what it looks like. Yeah. In order for you to display information on, for example, a dashboard, probably going to have just these three important, top nav that directs you to, the major features, the sidebar that pretty much manages what information you see on your tabbed interface. So this is going to be your tabbed interface, for example. And what it looks
President's
like
gone off
is
again, so
okay. They should probably come back. So just let me know when you can see it. Can you see it now?
right.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I can.
Can you see?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. So basically, like it was rightly highlighted on this on this um on these items, right? The idea is for you to design intuitive pathways for users to complete their goals. There's a reason why you don't put all of your um, options up here, right? There's a very good reason why you
Yeah.
don't, because you have to be careful not to put your options in a way that confuses your user. There's a reason why some options are kept here rather than up here. So what that means is you can have a function here. Let me show you. What that means is you can have an option here, that gives you a unique set of options down here. Yeah? Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? So
Yes, I can hear you,
whenever
sir.
this function on top is highlighted, its unique options will show up down here in the tab side in the sidebar. So
Okay.
from the sidebar, you can now control what is being shown in the tabbed interface, right? So you can click on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sidebar options to decide what goes on in your tabbed interface. You get what I'm saying? So it's usually a system that you create to allow you to maximize space and also to maximize information clarity. The reason why some options are docked behind this bars is so that you only see what is important to you, right? So when I click on an option, for example, yeah, I'm not expecting to see options that are here when I am on this blue highlighted icon. And when I'm on this blue highlighted icon, I'm not expected to see, options that are here, right? Until I have left this highlighted one to come to this one. Or I'm not able to see options that are at this last button until I am clicked or logged into that button. Do you get what I'm saying? So the idea is to intuitively craft your user's journey, right? In such a way that you can prioritize hierarchy and visual clarity using patterns, established patterns, systems, right? That you know will always work. For example, this system you're seeing right here, even though it's a wireframe, is an established pattern that helps, designers articulate complexity into more simple, ideas. So I'll move on to slide 7. Can you see slide 7? Can you see slide 7?
Yes, I can, sir.
Okay. So for slide 7, here's what you would see, right? We're looking at site maps. These are all the important aspects of information architecture. I mentioned user flow and task flow, yeah?
Yes, sir.
One of the other important tools in information architecture is site maps. It's also a flow, but what it just literally does is gives you a hierarchy overview of your pages. So this could be tagged as your most important page. That's your home page. This could be tagged as your most important navigation system, your nav bar, right? This could be tagged as your most important, let's say, sections, right? Or button system, right? This could be tagged as your most important feature system. And, peradventure, this might all lead, to the most important footer system, right? In such a way that you know that you have to go from one to get to the other, right? Are
Yes,
you with me?
yes, sir.
So for creating site maps, it's pretty much a concept of which page would you get to before getting to the next page. So in order for you to get to your nav bar, you need to be on a home page, a page. And your most important page is your home page. So that would represent this guy up here. Yeah? Then from this guy up here, you can now start to talk about, what your next most important page will be, right? And these pages would now lead to the next set of options that you might have, right? Sometimes you have the same set of options here as you have here, but you might need to click from your navbar to get everywhere else. And from that everywhere else, you might be able to access the rest of the information. So your expectations for the sitemaps are very simple. Clearly identify what pages are more important in terms of hierarchy. And so what it will do for you is to help your team understand your flow and the relationship between your pages. For example, if you're building a mobile app, are you listening? You might have your onboarding up here, right? As opposed to your homepage. Do you get what I'm saying? Your onboarding might now lead to, let's say, your dashboard. And your dashboard might now lead to, let's say, your could be transfer, could be add money, or it could be it could be anything. And then from transfer, might have access to bills, might have access to airtime, might have access to electricity. That might require you to, maybe post your electricity meter number, and then probably post what cards you're going to use to pay. I'm just trying to show you what these arrows might look like, right? Or might represent on different apps. But like I said, on mobile apps it might be a little different. What they just show is relationship, right? It helps you understand your flow and relationship of your features, how they depend on each other, and how they relate with each other. So they are crucial before you design screens, so that you don't end up putting your payment screen where you should have, an entirely different, screen altogether. So once you've decided all of these screens, then you need to just, create a simple sitemap as a test, right? So for this, the test that I wanted to use to showcase this example is a student learning portal. That's an e-commerce, an e-learning portal, right? The average e-learning portal. Are you listening? Are you listening?
Yes, sir.
The average e-learning portal would have something like homepage, then dashboard. Let's assume you have logged in already, yeah? It would have homepage, then dashboard, then maybe in your dashboard you have your courses, then you have your assignments, then maybe you have your profile, right? But ideally, from your dashboard, you can have direct access. Let me show you what I'm saying quickly. Right, so for example, this is not correct. This is not the correct sitemap. For some reason, something is missing here. So you see this home page, for example, that's the first thing you will see on the student learning portal, right? Are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Then from the home page, when you log in, you have your access to your dashboard. Centrally, you will have access to your courses. Then also you have access to your assignments. This should link here. Yeah. Then also you will have access to your profile, because you don't need the assignments page to get to your profile. Do you get what I'm saying? So from your dashboard directly, you should have a link. So this line should connect here. This line should connect here. Are you with me? Just as this one connects here. Do you see what I just drew? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The
So
arrow
as a
going down.
matter of as a matter of hierarchy, you can easily tell that once you get to your home page, the next button that is important for you to access your student learning portal is to log in and enter your dashboard, right? Because you are a student, right? Then once you enter that dashboard, what becomes immediately most important will be for you to have access to your courses, to have access to your assignments, and then to have access to your profile. Peradventure, you want to change one or two things on your profile. You don't need to be in your courses to be able to change your profile. Do you get what I'm saying? They are mutually exclusive. They're not dependent on each other, right?
Yes.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's your feelings. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So on your dashboard, you're gonna have 3 unique, links that will take you to 3 different features. And don't forget, each of these is a feature, right? Each of this is a feature. The homepage in itself is a feature that has sub features that have sub features, right? And so, how you're going to navigate this, right, is up to you. So, for this example, I would like you to sketch and discuss a structure based off of something you are familiar with, right? This is e-learning, so I use e-learning because you'll be very familiar with it. But I'd like you to just come up with, structures that you are sure you're familiar with, and how the sitemap of these structures will look like. I would set that as your assignment for today. But also, don't worry, it's just a little short assignment. I'll prefer for us to deal with that when we're done with the class, because I don't know how much longer you're able to see my screen. So can you see where we are now? The next slide.
Yes, sir.
So on slide 9, we're looking at wireframes. Yeah?
Yes.
And practically what wireframes are sketch lines defining user interaction or user experience. How would these pages look using lines and dots, and shapes, right? So wireframes are usually a low fidelity representation of your screens. Do you know what low fidelity is?
No, sir.
Yeah, so this is what low fidelity is. Just so you won't be carried away with the explanation, right? This is what low fidelity is. This right here, yeah,
Yes, sir.
is what low fidelity is. The reason why it's called low fidelity, are you listening? Is
Yes, sir.
because on this um on this diagram right here, you have not seen more than a few lines and shapes. You can't see the picture of anyone, right?
Yes, sir.
You can tell that there is a logo picture that is going to be here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't see any text. You can tell that there will be text navigation options, right? Lined up here, right?
Yes, sir.
So you can't tell, for example, if this was the description of a feature, you can't tell with high confidence what these features are, right? But you can tell what these features probably represent.
Yes,
For
sir.
example, this would probably be a call to action button. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
But you can't tell if the call to action button is buy now, or
Yeah.
do you get what I'm saying? Or pay now, or learn more. Do you get what I'm saying? Or donate. But you can tell that this is going to be a button right here, right?
Yes, sir.
And so your ability to capture all of those details in not so obvious lines, shapes, and all that is what you refer to as low fidelity. You can't trust what these items would be individually, right? But you can tell what the possible outcome will be. So yes, you are sure of what it is, but your confidence is low, right? As regards what these guys can contain. Like right here, you can tell that this is going to be a text, right? Because of the alignment. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's mostly a representation, not the exact, not the exact um, um, item of character or component in itself. You're supposed to make sure that you don't draw anything complex at the low fidelity level, right? Yeah, the idea is to focus on layout, focus on information priority. What are the most important informations on it? Those are the things that you focus on. It doesn't mean that you cannot have other information or items, moving around the screen. It's just that at this stage, only what is important matters, right? Only what is important. So, um, like it rightly says here, that what you are focused on is information priority and flows, right?
Yes, sir.
Not visuals. Visuals would mean color, image, it could be icons, right? And maybe even forms or text, right? Those are like the visuals itself. But at this stage, you're not focused on any of that. You just want to see what the flow looks like in one or two colors. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So the idea is to start broad. That's with low fidelity. Then after you have ascertained the correctness, are you with me? Once you've ascertained the correctness of your flow, you can now refine and start churning out high fidelity. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Have you seen them making a roof before? See that scaffolding? Hmm?
Yes.
That crisscross, that very ugly thing that they call a roof. Yeah, that's what wireframe is. Before you start bringing ceramic tiles to layer the same roof, right? To make them beautiful. Ideally, that's literally what it is. It's like the house that is being built when it's not yet cemented. Yeah, usually looks a certain type of unfinished, right? But the moment you have ascertained that yes, this low fidelity, is a correct flow, it leads you exactly where you're going, then you can come and refine later. So one of the benefits of wireframe is what I want us to talk about, right? Benefits. Why do we even need a wireframe in the first place? Do you get what I'm saying? I mean, I'm a designer. I already came up with the idea. Why can't I just draw it? And then if I see something is wrong, then I'll probably go back. The dangerous thing with that is you might go back and go back and go back. And by the time you are going back, you are changing everything that took you 1 week to create. Do you know how counterproductive that is? That after you spent 1 week creating beautiful stuff because you don't want to use wireframe, you will now discover one problem at the end that will require you to change whatever it is you have done for the past, let's say, 1 month, page by page, because you need to add a feature that skipped your mind because you did not itemize it on a plain sheet or sketch before going ahead. So, one of the most important benefits of wireframing is that it clarifies structure before investing time, effort, and brain work in visuals. Because visuals is actually where the brain work is. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
It gives you clarity of structure before you start to invest actual resources into the visuals. And then what he also does is he encourages early feedback, because whatever it is that you are creating, you are able to show your team this wireframe, and you can ask them, what do you think? Does this work? This page links to this page. And imagine a team where the product lead has seen your wireframe and has approved it. Your product manager has seen it and has approved it. Whoever else is important, right, has seen it and approved it. Your feedback is already, a confirmation of the fact that you are on the right track, right? Maybe your users, some of your test participants have also been used to guarantee it. The moment you get that feedback, you are working in confidence at a high level visual, right? To create your high fidelity wireframe, right? So it helps or encourages early feedback. And then you also reduce waste and rework. Because like I said, imagine you have done 1 month's work before you realize that you did not capture a certain feature into what you're building. It can be very, very, very disappointing. Like you would hate yourself. If imagine you are trying to undo 1 month's work just to slot in one small mistake that you probably should have figured out if you highlighted everything plainly first of all. Right? So at this point, it's clear that anyone who wants to go far would go easy and will go correct by first of all creating, a wireframe, because you don't want to have to deal with, details. For example, you looking at the image that you have here. Yeah, this image you have here is pretty much a good depiction of what we're talking about. This is what the low fidelity wireframe looks like. Can you see what I'm illustrating here?
Yes.
You can see how this is a nav bar. This, according to this image here, is a text box. And here probably is a call to action button. But you can see it doesn't look like any of that here, right?
Yes, sir.
It doesn't. But when you look here, you start to see, oh, so you mean this guy up here is supposed to be a nav bar, and this guy is not so important, right? So it's supposed to be like a text. And then maybe this guy is the important button on the page. But guess what? All of this is made possible, right, with clarity when you wireframe first. And that's what I want to encourage you to always pay attention to, right? So there are different types of wireframes. Yeah, there's low fidelity, mid fidelity, and high fidelity. But a lot of times, what people want to see is low fidelity, especially your teams. They want to see this guy. You can see slide 11, right? Can you see slide 11,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, cool. So ideally, this is what your wireframe will look like. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
It's low fidelity, nothing much going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So the differences between wireframe, mockup, and prototype is what we're going to talk about next. Ideally, like I already explained to you, wireframes are concerned about structures and layout, right? Structures in terms of positioning, size. Are you with me? Positioning, size, and function. For a mock-up, we're looking at visual design, we're looking at colors, we're looking at fonts, right? What will the colors look like? What particular fonts are we using and how do they look like, right? And what sizes, what spaces do you occupy, right? While for prototypes, we're looking at clickable interactions. When you click on this button, what does it do? When you click on that button, that link, what should you expect, right? So the major key points to remember when you are dealing with these three concepts, right? These three concepts, the major, the major, um, the major consideration you should keep in mind is that wireframes are mostly lines that demarcate or show structure and layout. Mockups show the entire design, high fidelity, right? Colors, fonts, sizes, and all that. Then the prototypes are concerned with interaction and clickability. Like when you click, what happens? That's the user experience. A prototype is mostly focused on defining user experience. A wireframe is mostly focused on defining you you know feature layout, right? Feature structure layout using lines and shapes. A mockup is a fully completed design or a more detailed design that has colors, fonts, right? And the prototype is how this usually concerned with how all of this react or respond. So I'm going to quickly walk through the rest of our conversation, learning today. But don't forget, our focus today is wireframes. Yeah. So don't pay attention to the mock-up and prototypes yet, because we're going to get there. Okay. Yeah. So for best practices for wireframing, I probably need to take you through just a little bit of rules to help you not overdo or do too much, right? So for wireframing, it says use real content when possible, right? Only when possible. Don't forget, only when possible. As much as possible, you don't have to use real content, okay?
Yes, sir.
Only when possible, right? For example, this real content you are seeing on this side here, this real content, yeah?
Yes, sir.
You can see it's a wireframe, but it's written in text.
Yeah.
This lorem ipsum could have been written in blocks, right? It could have been written in blocks, like let's say in lines like this. But they chose to use real content. You get what I'm saying? You understand what I just explained?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the idea is to use real content only when possible. Keep it simple. That is, avoid colors and images, especially at the wireframe level. Then annotate for clarity. Annotation means I can click on this, for example, and say this is home page, right? Just in case you are wondering what it is, I can say this is profile. right?
Yes, sir.
Now, this annotation will give you clarity as to what I just put here, or what I just created here, right? As opposed to me trying to make it clear to you that this is a profile by adding color. I can make it simple and just put a line somewhere here and say this is home page, right? And what that does is it keeps your design simple, right? I can even say, okay, you know what? These two are cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
writing the cards on any of these spaces here. Do you get?
Yeah.
Because ideally, the wireframe should remain simple. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So for annotating for clarity, the reason is because your wireframes may not be explicit in terms of what they represent. So you should rather keep it simple and annotate than complicate it with plenty information. Then you focus on user goals and layout, right? Focus on user goals. User goals is for the user to be able to complete one or two, you know, um, activities, or to be able to complete one or two actions. And focus on your layout, being able to give that user, you know, that opportunity, as opposed to any other thing that you might be intending to achieve with your wireframe. Okay, so next we are going to talk about tools for wireframing. Are you still there? Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, cool. So one of the interesting things about this topic is being able to know which of your tools are your best friends based on your competence. Which of them are you mostly competent at using? Okay. So what I always say is the most important wireframing tool is your pen and your paper. Did you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Your pen and your paper. The moment you have your pen and your paper, you can do a full website wireframe before you start moving into Figma or XD or Sketch, right? Now, the most intuitive one that I know I have used is called Balsamic, right? Balsamic. But for some interesting reasons, it has become less popular, especially with this era of Figma, Miro, Monday, and all of these other interesting tools for collaboration and sketching. Yeah, so Figma is a free and collaborative tool that has different intuitive features that you can use to, work on wireframes. Adobe is also a very interesting UI friendly, which was the first in the market, by the way, right? And so the others that you can use, which are also interesting tools, are Balsamic, Whimsical, and Sketch. The interesting thing is, of all of these products, the one that was made specifically for sketching is Balsamic. Balsamic Wireframe is an app for strictly wireframing, but because others have integrated wireframing into their apps, I think they have lost a lot of markets. Yeah. So our most important tools today will be Figma and XD because they are still the biggest industry competition when it comes to wireframing, and the others will be nice to have, right? So a live demo that I would like us to work on is to create a wireframe in Figma, right? Or Adobe XD, which is what I would like us to find time to work on. Because today I just wanted to break down what a wireframe is, right? So I'm going to create an assignment for you on that our shared document, and I want you to focus on this particular demo. But before we finish with this class, I'd just like to take you through how I probably create my own wireframe. Yes, so some of the things that you need to know in order to create complex wireframes in Figma are mostly just layering, okay? That layering thing I taught you about in the first practical class, how you put layers in front and behind each other, so that you can see them for visibility and all that. How do you set up your frames? How do you set up your layers, right? Your layout for homepage, header, content, nav, and all sorts. So we're going to recreate something like that, right? Also, how do you represent your user components, which are your buttons and your forms, and all those little inputs here and there. So because of time, I will just teach you how you evaluate your wireframes, right? So the activity for today is to wireframe a simple product. Yeah. So your job is to find a simple event booking app, right? Which I'm going to find for you in this case. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
You don't have to stress. I'll search for it for you. I'll post it in that file. Then I want you to wireframe it. What we did earlier was high fidelity replication, right? Now I want you to do a low fidelity replication, which is the wireframe. And then let's see how it looks, right? So for this, I'm going to quickly copy. I'm going to quickly copy an image for you. Yeah. According to your assignment, it says you should get an event booking app. So I'll just get the image I had in mind and send it to you to come up with a creative or intuitive wireframe. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Don't worry, we'll start from easy so you won't get too overwhelmed. I don't want you to stress yourself looking for, looking for an ideal event booking app. It might take you time, so let me just find one. Okay, let's go with this one. So I want to see what you're gonna make of it. Let's see what you're gonna make of it. It's a simple design. If you check the Figma file, you're gonna see what I just dropped in there. I don't know why this is taking so long to load. But yeah, I'm trying to paste it into our shared file. So once you open that shared file, you should be able to see. Anyway, so let's get back to the slide. So your assignment is to create an event booking app, right?
Okay, sure.
A home, a browser event, a browse event, and then a book event app. Yeah, a home, a browse event, and then a book event page. Basically, just imagine what those pages would look like, right? Sketch it on paper, then come on Figma and try to recreate what you did on paper and let it look like what you have on the right. Can you see what I have on the right here? And so to evaluate your wireframe, we're going to just ask these few questions. Does it match the user journey, right? Can your user go from home to browse events and then to book, slot on an event, right? Is the layout intuitive? Are key actions obvious? Because the fact that it's a wireframe does not mean we should not see where the button is. Do you get what I'm saying? The button should still be identifiable, right? Yeah, so Enoch, like I was saying, yeah, there are very quick ways to know if it's effective, right? You ask yourself if it's intuitive in terms of layout, if the key actions are obvious, and then you can invite feedback to decide what needs to change, right? So as you can see here, you see that it's obvious here that this is important, right? This is where an action is expected to take place, right? So according to this, you can see that they label the lower part with obvious action, right? Because that's where the action button is located. The user journey should bring you from information to taking action, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the assignment. I've opened our document, and then I'm presently adding a new section to it, and in that section I'm adding our screen for you to convert to a wireframe. So just take your time, look at the features, and make a wireframe out of it. You're not going to be perfect, but just understand what the idea is. Isolate the important sections, and then use appropriate lines, shapes to represent it. So when you get there, you will see what I shared with you. And that's your assignment for today. But before we go on, I want us to have a quick test, right? Of your knowledge, basically, for today. But yeah, let's also have a quick summary, right? How do you go from information architecture to wireframe? Do you realize that information architecture and wireframes are different now, right?
Okay.
Information architecture would include, stuff like sitemaps, user flow, task flow, right? But for wireframe, we're talking about high fidelity, low fidelity, mid fidelity and low fidelity. Pretty much, representing your information architecture on every page with lines and, components that simplify the visual for easy understanding, right? And so for information architecture, we're looking at working with sitemaps to wireframe. And information architecture will be expected to define the structure, while the wireframe is expected to visualize that structure. So they work hand in hand, right?
Yes, sir.
So both must be user-centered, is what the major consideration is. And then you must keep iterating with feedback, meaning when you do these wireframes, because they are not perfect, right? The beautiful part of working wireframe is you're not afraid that somebody is going to say it's not fine. Do you get what I'm saying? They're just lines, right? The moment you start putting colors and text, you will start feeling like, oh, this thing is good. Oh, maybe it's not good enough. Let me not show anybody so they won't say I'm a poor designer. A lot of things start to come through your mind, right? People start to feel like their work is not good enough. The moment they start to add high fidelity, components and characteristics and all that. And so the best time to actually iterate quick is during this wireframing process. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Right? So you must try as much as possible to keep it simple and iterate quick early while you're in the wireframe phase, so that anything else you're iterating on much later is of very high relevance, and it's not going to be the type of thing that you would not want to show off or show to someone else, because you're going to be dealing with high level stuff, details at that point. So for our key takeaways, right, I want you to remember This is a summary of everything that I've detailed in the 20 slides we have here. That a strong information architecture is going to be equal to a smooth navigation and better usability, right? You're not just going to be able to go through the screens smoothly, you're also going to be able to use the product in terms of functionality, right? And that's why are essential planning tools. Tests and iterate early is another thing that I mentioned, which is what wireframes are going to be very useful for, right? You quickly test before you start worrying about color and shapes and size and interaction. You quickly test functionality. You have to test for function over appeal, right? And then use Figma or Adobe XD to build and refine fast when you're working on your wireframes, right? Your sketch on paper will require eraser. So what I usually advise is draw your most basic rough sketch on paper, scan it to your Figma, use Figma to create shapes, right, that are more accurate. And then with Figma, you don't need eraser, you can always delete, right, and recreate.
Okay, sir.
And so focus on working faster on Figma, but focus on creating the idea on paper first, right? And if you look at the image there, the highlighted image says for information architecture, your focus is on structure. The focus is on structure, navigation, and usability. Yeah, your focus is on those three. Does the structure look like it's going to be able to, be implemented without having issues, without having hiccups, right? Does the navigation connect to all the necessary pages? And is the usability, visible at the point of use, right?
Yes,
So,
sir.
for wireframing, it's pretty much a planning tool for early iteration with a focus on layout, and that's what you have here, right? So the best softwares to use for this tool in terms of how fast and how reliable they are is Figma or Adobe XD, because that's probably the same app you're going to be designing on. So it's always nice to have, like all your wireframe done on the same app. You don't have to leave from one app to the other to get.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I'm going to quickly give you your test for today to be sure that all my explanations, are clear. So you have 5 questions, pretty much. And I'm going to record your answers, right? So the first one is, what is the primary goal of information architecture?
Okay.
Is it to make the app look pretty? Is it to organize and structure content for usability? Is it to build interactive prototypes? Or is it to create high fidelity visuals?
Good idea.
You said? Read the options clearly, because I just explained everything to you. Okay. The primary goal, the most important goal of information architecture, what you want to achieve. Is it to make the app look pretty, or is it to organize and structure content for usability? Is it to build interactive prototypes, or is it to create high fidelity visuals? Which do you think is the primary? Why do we need it
Yeah.
in the first place?
To organize and structure content for usability.
Amazing. Yeah, so that's correct. Clap for yourself. Okay, cool. So we go to the next question. So which of this is not a component of information architecture? Navigation systems, search systems, typography hierarchy, labeling systems. Don't forget, I'm not sure what page it is exactly, but I remember we talked about, you know,
It's typography hierarchy.
okay, that was sharp. Okay, that's 2 out of 5. So Q3, a sitemap is useful because it what? Why is a sitemap useful? Is it because it shows final UI design, or because it organizes user interviews, or because it illustrates app metrics, or because it visualizes page relationship and hierarchy?
Okay, D visualizes page relationship and hierarchy.
Awesome. There you go. That's 3 out of 3 for you. You're never leaving anyone for me. Can you imagine? Okay. So Q4, which tool is best suited for low fidelity wireframes? According to everything we
Figma.
just described.
Uh,
Excel, Photoshop, Figma, Premiere Pro.
C Figma.
Of course, this is an easy one, so let's just agree that we're dashing you this one. Right, Figma, correct. So for Q5, when creating wireframes, you should do one of the following, right? Use high resolution images and colors, focus on layout and user flow, finalize brand typography, or animate interactions. Which do you think is important for the wireframe based process?
Focus on layout and user flow.
And amazing. Ba-ba-da-da. So you aced all my questions. That's super cool. That's super cool. So I'm gonna record this though. Right. This is gonna be recorded. I just want to be, having this daily um question and answer that I can, add up to make up for your scores, right? Along with your tests. So that's 5 over 5 for you today. And yeah, it's really cool. I should release you, but before I release you, I want us to quickly do a quick breakdown of your assignment. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
According to slide 15, you're supposed to have an event booking app, yeah?
Sure.
So let me share my entire screen with you. Let me share my entire screen with you. Let me do the entire screen stuff. It's usually heavier. But yeah, let's see. So you can see I'm on Figma, yeah?
Yes, sir.
So this is the event app that I downloaded for you. You can see it. Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so if you can see this, you can tell how fully, designed it is. This is a high fidelity mock-up, right? This is what you call a mock-up. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so in order to create this wireframe, you might have to do what we call, shape settings, right? In this case, if you're going to be doing low fidelity, you might, for example, cover here with one shape, right?
Mm.
And I'm using the shape tool, by the way, the rectangle tool, and
Okay,
then
sir.
maybe draw two darker lines, change the color of this line to
Okay,
something
sir. Sorry.
darker.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Uh, um, is it possible there is something wrong with my own Figma, or is yours a paid version?
Oh, yeah, I'm using a paid version, right? But why do you ask though?
Because okay, it seems like there are many things I can't do with it, or I don't know. Yes, kind
Really?
of.
What have you noticed you can do with it?
Okay, for
Maybe that might
example,
maybe that might help.
the you know, the box down, where you have the move tool, you have the
Yeah.
triangle. Yes. You Mine doesn't open like
You can
this.
can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen from my phone, not from the system.
Okay. You can see how mine is opening and you think yours doesn't open like that?
No, it doesn't.
Really? So when you
Yes.
click on the pen tool, you don't see pencil and pen like I'm seeing here.
No, like for mine, all I can see is what's the name? This the first icon. I don't know if that's the move tool or something.
This one.
Yes.
This one.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Ah,
Yes,
okay.
I can see
So
the move tool.
let me
I can
see.
see. Yes.
So let me see why that is possible. I think a way to tell that will be for us to open it on um, my browser, right?
Yes.
Let me see how that works on the browser because I'm afraid that it's probably because you have not updated your browser. Do you get what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
maybe you downloaded the Figma app, but you didn't update it. I think I'm always updating mine like every time I come online and they give me a
Oh.
notification. But let me open the web components or the web version, and let's see if you are going to be seeing the same thing I'm seeing. Because I will be worried if you can't see what I'm saying. Sure, you get. Okay, it's taking time to load, but yeah, this is where we are. Anyways, I don't know why it's taking so long. Yeah, so this is what it looks like when it's fully loaded. I have a lot of projects, right, that are open, and this is the one I'm working on presently. Let me open it, and from your end, just tell me if it's the same thing you see when you open your web browser. I mean, Figma on your web browser, right?
Yes, sir.
I think it will go a long way because maybe I'm assuming so much that we're seeing the same thing, and it might probably be why you're struggling to catch up with some of the things that I did the last time. Yeah.
It's taking quite some time to open.
It's taking forever to load though. I don't know why. I don't think that file is that heavy, so anyway, so whether it opens or not, let's quickly finish up on what I was trying to do just now. Yeah. So if you see, for example, this layer, you can see how I clicked the layer and it's selected. Yeah. If I want to see what's behind it, I'll just come here and turn it off. And I can see, right?
Okay.
Do you
Yes,
get?
sir. Yes, sir.
So this is a section. The section has 2 items and an image. I'll just come here and draw a square, right? And then I'll give it a rounded corner to make sure it's not a square, probably somewhere around 10. And then I'll change the color to the same, right? The idea is wireframes should not have that much color. It should be simple, right? That's what we have here. So this is just one component, I mean just one section, and I can group this section and say Control G. Yeah, and it's now a group. Then I can come down here and do the same. Yeah, for the search section. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And for this search section, see, you're not worried about dimension. Yeah.
Yes.
This search section, I'm going to make it wider than what is already there, because I know that what I need is to make it look like, is a search bar, right?
Okay.
And I can come here and copy this and paste it and drag it. Sorry. I'll copy, or better yet, use an Alt and drag it in here. Right. So because all these layers are in groups, I have to be careful to move it out of the group so it can be visible. Right, because I duplicated from inside the group. So for here is search, and for this place is your search icon. I don't know how else to make a search icon, so I'll just make a dummy search icon here. Just so you see how wireframes are. I'm not think too much. I'll just make what I know, works. Right, and for here, I'll make this icon, I'll fill it in, and then I'll take my pen tool, zoom in, and draw a stroke and press escape. And this stroke, I'll come and give it the same color as the icon. Yeah, and probably give it a thicker line, let's say 3. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
That's as far as I'm going to go. And you can see how immediately I'm done. I have what I'm looking for, right?
Yes.
So the idea is there are different types of, wireframe, but the most basic ones are these ones that when you're working with, you're not bothered about much. And that's just 2 sections. And then I can continue with the other section, create a rectangle, and just put, a card here. And in this card, I can put 2 boxes, and that's enough, right? And the 2 boxes should just be an indicator that, there's something here. I need to change the color of this. I'm going to be strict with my choice of, color to one color, so that, like I said, it's not about the looks. It's mostly about, the functionality, and I can do this. Sure, you get.
Yes, sir.
I mean, this is what a wireframe looks like. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And this is high fidelity wireframe. Like the other one you saw that had lines and all that. I'm just trying to show you how I would work on a high fidelity wireframe. I'm not bothered about this for you and this other text that you see I covered here. Can you see? I'm not, because if I want to, I can easily pick this guy here and drag it here. Right? And, sorry. Because it's in a group, I wouldn't see it, so I'll drag it out to the top of the other guys, and it becomes instantly visible. Can you see that? So I'm not focused on text. I'm just drawing out the shapes to reflect whatever it is that I'm working on. And that's how I'm going to finish everything here, right? I'll draw the shapes, and I'll leave it at that. Then I'll duplicate the shapes. Once I've drawn the shape, I'll hold Alt, click, duplicate, and I have another section. Right? And in this section, I know that what we have here are different components. Right? I wouldn't waste my time. I can just come pick these guys. So you get, and drag it down here. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
And as quickly as I started working on these guys, I'm done. Right? That's all the features that you have there. And then you can now come and create a lower menu option here. Right? And in this lower option, I can reduce the curve of the bottom to 12, or let's say 20. That's to fit the screen. And do the same thing for the right bottom. Right? And because it's not the same with this corner, I might just come and adjust one to be sure I have a perfect corner here. Yeah, I think it's somewhere around 45. And I'll do the same for this guy. And voila, that's it, our wireframe for this landing page. And if you notice, I did not put a background to it. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
I didn't put a background to it. So I can duplicate this guy, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, right? And then send to bottom, because it's a duplicate. I'll just send it to the bottom of the group. I want to send it all the way to the bottom. The one thing you should learn is how to track your layers. Yeah. One of the ways to do that. Are you there?
So, yes, sir.
Yeah, one of the ways to track your layers is to name them. Did you hear what I said?
Yes, sir.
One of the ways to track your layers is to actually name them. So for this guy here, I didn't name any of them, but I would encourage you to name your layers,
Okay,
right?
sir.
But this guy, I'm going to put it to the top. Yeah. And you can see I can put 45 here and everything is rounded. And this is my low fidelity mockup, right?
Yes, sir.
So I can come and take this guy now. I can come select this guy and everything in it and move down. Yeah. So for this guy here, for example, there are items on top of it. For this guy here, I can turn it off while I work on the items on this guy. There are 4 items. So for these 4 items, I don't need to duplicate them. Ideally, I will just draw 4 shapes here. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And those 4 shapes, I'll give them the same color. The idea is for you to see the structure, right? And that's all. Like literally, that's all. Right? So all of this, you can now group them. Control G, and group this guy and say Control G, and take this guy. Don't sleep off on me. Control G, and this guy, Control G, right? And at the end of the day, I can take all of them, right, and put the master group. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I see everything is selected now, and then I group them. Right. With this, I can move it down. Are you seeing what I'm doing?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
I moved it down to the lower to the lower screen. And in this screen, I will now come and turn on the color of the shape that I have behind everything. Or better yet, I can give this shape a color for a stroke. I can give this shape a stroke of black, right? Oh, everything is given a stroke. So let me not do that. Looking for the rectangle. Yeah, this one. And I'll give this one stroke. Right, you can see the stroke comes in nicely and gives us this simple screen that you can see. Can you see this?
Yes, I can.
Does it look difficult to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is what a high fidelity mock-up would look like. And for me to illustrate what we did in class, right? Some of the things I said was you keep it simple, then you annotate where necessary. To annotate, I can come here and take a pencil and right Can you see that? And I'll
Yes, sir.
say navigation, or I'll come here and I'll probably come here and do something like this and do something like this, and I will label each of these parts, right, without writing anything inside it. So this is how you annotate, right? And I can start using text to write whatever it is that I want on this part, and I can just say, okay, the application, right? And once you get that done, you can duplicate, right, and name each of these sections as you like. So this is a summary of everything I just taught you right now. What I just need you to know is that the moment you start putting your hands to it, it becomes easy. So whatever complexity you think you're thinking now is just in your head. For example, this lower layer here is a group. I can move this. Yeah, these ones are on top of it, right? I created this 4 after I created this shape. But if I created this shape first, I can create this 4 and it will naturally be on top, right? So if I'm to create another shape on top of this one, for example, I can create it and it will be on top and it will have a different color. And I can do the same for each and every one of them. Can you see? It's just a matter of dropping the shapes into the boxes. Yeah? You're not worried about the color, you're not worried about the size, right?
Yes,
You
sir.
just want to show what is already available, and what's already available for you is here. Okay. For example, if I'm to work on this one, I'm not going to worry about all this image. I will just put one image here. This is an image. Can you see?
Mm.
And the icon for image is very simple. I can click my icon pack and go and pick, media, right? And look for an image icon. If I don't see an image icon there, I might just go and look for something else. Let's say UI applicator. I mean, it could be anything. Yeah, this is an icon for image. I'll choose the slimmest or the line one. This is a line art for image. I'll just copy it, come in here, and paste it here. For some interesting reason, it's not pasted. Okay, that's pasted it. And all I have to do is just come and put it here. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
That's how I will deal with an entire section of images that I don't want to worry about, right? And then I can go ahead and create shapes for the rest. I can see this is title, that's text. I can see this is a sub breadcrumbs, right? Are you seeing that?
Yes, sir.
Can I see that?
Yes.
I can do the same for this guy. Yeah. And then I can finish up with another shape for my button, right? And do you see how quickly I went through this part? Very quick. Because there is no need to waste time on it. All this stuff you are seeing now, I can even take this one out and put this guy here straight. So that whole image is not supposed to be a border for you, because it's an entire image altogether, right?
Yes,
The only
sir.
thing you might need to worry about is the button, and that button is a high fidelity wireframe feature. Most times you don't worry about buttons or details. Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
you can decide to keep this, simple. You can decide to make it complex. The moment the moment you start trying to get accurate, you're already doing high fidelity wireframe. Right? You can say I just split this one box into two different boxes, right? That's me doing high level. Ideally, this is what I have, and that's good enough. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
One box for both text. I can even create this one as one full box, but it wouldn't capture what we are describing. So it's good to have it as breadcrumbs. And that's pretty much what I need you to do. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So take your time and work on this. And then hopefully by this time on Wednesday, you have a lot more for us to talk about. We'll do a full practical on, starting with um, the research to the usability tests, to the feature optimization, prioritization and the rest. I'll take you through how you start from research to information architecture and wireframe and down to actual user interface design and prototype, right? So all of these are just parts and chunks that I need you to probably get your hands strong in so that we'll come and bring everything together and create a functional product from it. Okay. So I've done the first one. I'm leaving the next one to you. Please do it. And we'll catch up in our next class, okay? Enoch. Hello,
Yes, sir.
Enoch.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so just if you have any difficulty, feel free to message me. I'll jump on the file and we'll talk about it. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So I should release you now. Spent an extra hour here. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So as for wireframes, take whatever measures you can. Learn a few tricks on Figma from the videos I shared with you earlier that will help you optimize, you know, your workflow, right? Uh, submit. Should I create your assignment? Yeah, I'll create your assignment on the um, e-learning platform so that we can have that also as a scored project for you. So I'm going to stop sharing now. But don't forget, I'll be expecting your feedback for this assignment. Yeah, for this assignment. So I'm combining this assignment with you, for you, with this one, right? And so I'll open an assignment for you on the Google LMS, and I'll expect you to submit it by Wednesday. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
All right then. So thanks for your time. I hope you understood everything I taught. Do you have any questions?
Um, so I need to go over it again, sir. If there are
You
any,
need me to
if
go
there,
by.
no, I'll say if there are any questions, I'll just
All right.
drop you. Yes, sir.
I have a curriculum that I can share with you, but I would want you to go over it first, then that would come in later, as a matter of, um, as a matter of, what would I call it now? Reinforcement. Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's the word. So I'll go over some of these things again when we start doing the actual practicals, just to remind you of most of the things that we have been through. Yeah. But yeah, feel free to send your questions on Slack,
Okay, sir.
and I'll take it off from there. Okay.
All right, sir. Thank you so much,
Right.
sir.
Good night.
All right, sir. Good night, sir.
And
Bye.
take care, please.